Do you find yourself expecting the worst? Having catastrophic thoughts about what's going to happen next with your health, your job, your kids, the world? In today's episode of my series, Overcoming Anxiety, we're talking about catastrophic thinking and its connection to disordered anxiety. I'm Melissa Bohr-Jacobson of Confident Life Coaching and Hypnotherapy. And if you are joining me for the first time here on my channel, now would be a very good time to subscribe, and please be sure to hit the bell. That way you can be notified every time I drop a new video in this series, as well as other helpful videos that are all designed to help you and your family overcome unwanted issues and have phenomenal coping skills. So if you or a loved one have struggled with anxiety, it's important to consider the thoughts that precede anxiety. Many of my clients find they were engaging in what is called catastrophic thinking. And through hypnotherapy and coaching, we were able to rewire their catastrophic thoughts and eliminate much of this disordered anxiety. And I'll share a client's story shortly. But first, let's define catastrophic thinking, what causes it, and then we're going to get some tips on how to rewire it. So as human beings, we're hardwired to anticipate the future, fearing the unknown. And this primitive hardwiring is designed to keep us safe and alive, especially when there are constant survival events like there used to be when we were living in primitive times. And the part of our brain that keeps us alive hasn't evolved or changed since those times because we still need to be able to survive life-threatening events. Now that survival brain, because it's primitive, doesn't make a distinction between a true survival event and a stressful or a high-stakes event in our lives, such as a speech or an interview or even a dinner party that you might have in the future. And being unaware of this phenomenon can lead us into patterns of negative, catastrophic thought habits that make us feel constantly, increasingly stressed, anxious, out of control, exhausted, and can even lead to physical illness and panic attacks. And many people may not be aware that they're actually making themselves anxious and physically, mentally stressed by thinking about the worst possible thing that can go wrong whenever they think about the future, or respond to a past event with catastrophic future scenarios. An example of this is that dinner party, expecting everything to go wrong, or getting a headache or a stomachache, and worrying or believing that you actually have some terrible illness. A past event can also trigger catastrophic thinking or stigmatization of an event by giving it meaning it doesn't deserve. For example, perhaps you're selling a product or a service, you don't get a sale or two, you then assign a meaning such as, I'm no good at sales. So if you're habitually having catastrophic thoughts, you're going to have unnecessary and exhausting stress, anxiety, and potentially causing permanent harm to your health. So it is essential and it's crucial to rewire these catastrophic thoughts. So let's talk about it. What are some steps that we can use to begin to unravel these catastrophic thoughts and the disordered anxiety that comes along with them? So step one of stopping catastrophic thoughts is interrupting that primitive fight or flight response immediately before it starts charging ahead with negative what if future thoughts, panic, and worst case scenario thinking by simply taking a pause and counting to 5. Step 2 is keeping yourself in the present moment for now by reminding yourself that everything in this moment is fine. Step 3, remind yourself that you control and choose your response to circumstances. Many people mistakenly believe that their emotional well-being and their thoughts are dependent on outside circumstances and events, and it's normal to respond emotionally to circumstances. However, we do have control over our responses and especially our thoughts about events and experiences in our lives. Step 4, make a distinction between real and imaginary thoughts. Your imagination is the most potent part of your mind, and by default, your brain doesn't distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. So take charge and ask yourself if your catastrophic worst-case thoughts are actually real or imaginary. Step 5 is to do a significance check. Stop and ask yourself if you're giving unnecessary significance and meaning to a past circumstance or a future outcome. Giving significance to events wastes precious time and energy and keeps us stuck in the past or anxious about the future instead of being clear-headed and effective moment by moment. These are just a few tips to help you begin to overcome catastrophic thinking and worst-case scenario thoughts. If you are continuing to struggle to let go of catastrophic or worst-case scenario thinking, it's most likely based on an old belief or thought pattern that you're not even aware of. And one of the best, most rapid and effective ways to permanently change how you think, behave, and most importantly feel is through hypnotherapy and coaching. Like my client Mindy, who overcame catastrophic thinking, is now thriving more and more in her life, her health, and her business.
And I just know that there was like an inner belief keeping me stuck. And so our first 2 sessions were on identifying old traumas and it was amazing, miraculous even. Like after the first day, there was an immediate shift. And goal, once I had, worked on that, was to help me with my business, because I've released some of these limiting things. And then we discovered through these that one of the things I had been resisting in being a leader, you identified that as a pattern in my childhood where I was shut down so many times. Because of recovery, I've learned a lot more of who I am, but this was the missing piece. I broke through. In 3 months, I'm losing weight. And with the business now, with you empowering me to be a leader, I feel so much more confident. Since releasing these limiting thoughts, I'm beyond my wildest dreams. Really, I'm gonna cry.
To find out more about how confident life coaching and hypnotherapy can free you or someone you love forever of unwanted issues like catastrophic thinking and anxiety and other unwanted issues, get on a free consult with me at www.meetwithmelissa.me and find out how hypnotherapy can rapidly, permanently free you of those unwanted issues once and for all, so you can be calm, happy, and productive the way you want and deserve your life to be.